welcome to Dodge Garage, presented by Dodge Mopar Motorsports. My boys, Tony Stewart, Matt Hagan in the house. How you guys doing? What's going on?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Real good.
These guys are like the Bash Brothers of motorsports. Like you guys, like honestly, the content that you guys do together has me rolling all the time. I think it's a side of you for sure. Everyone knows that you're like that, but I think it's a side of you that everyone gets to see now, and it's different for everybody.
Yeah, I think everybody, especially in the drag racing space, I mean, they just see the highlight reel of me getting mad at somebody for something, but what they don't see is the moments like what Matt and I have now established a history of having fun, and people don't realize that's the side that's more out there than the small moments that they see the clips on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. How long?
He's a good sport, man. Like he really is. Like Chloe will come up with all this stuff and was like, "We're gonna do this challenge today," and you know he like, he's so busy, right? Like he's like, I never want to be famous as Tony Stewart, man.
Me neither.
Like the guy comes out and is like, he can't even eat his breakfast in hospitality. It's like, Tony, sign this. Tony, do that. Tony, and I'm like, I'm glad my name ain't Tony. You know what I mean? Like 100% glad my name ain't Tony. And I ain't got to cut them big checks like Tony does either. You know what I mean? But it's just, man, you know, and so super busy all the time. So Chloe will come up with these ideas of like, let's do this challenge or do that. And I'm just like, I don't even want to really do it, but I'm like, it's going to be cool when we do it. Yeah. And he's such a great sport about it. You know what I mean? And it's just like knowing that he's pulled in so many different directions. He's still, you know, second year into the car, and you got a lot going on and learning the car, and but like to come back and just be like, all right, dude, we're gonna cut up for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And to be able to giggle and laugh, I feel like I'm in high school, man. You know what I mean? Like it's just good, wholesome fun, man. You know what I mean? It's just like, and then they go back and read people's comments and stuff, and just how they see that we're having fun and mixing it up, and it's just, but it's really what it's like though at the track though. It's not just 10 minutes of that. You know what I mean? We'll come over and I'll kick him in the leg, or you know he'll elbow me or this or that, and you know give me something about, you know, give me a hard time about driving or whatever. But it's like, that's the type of teammate that I want anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't want to show up the track and it's just like, all right, it's all business. It's business when you pull a helmet on, but like, it needs to be fun the rest of the time, man. And we do that at TSR, man. And Tony's good with that. Leah's great with it. You know what I mean? And Leah's come around a lot, man. She used to not want to do that stuff, and now she's like, all right, you guys having fun? We'll have some fun too. You know? So it's cool. But it's just fun, man. Like fun atmosphere, family deal. Man.
When are you gonna get him on your workout program,
bro? I mean, I'm trying to get on his. You know, he be losing weight. You know what I mean? I'll be gaining it.
We are. Yeah. Look at him. He's huge.
Yeah. Tony said, man, me and Jim got. Well, I'll let you say it.
Yeah, I don't. What kind of guy spells his name GYM anyway?
Right.
We've got a guy. It's one of those squatters, I guess. I mean, he's got a room at our house, and
one of them
Leah sees him every now and then. I don't know. He doesn't bother me. I don't bother him. I go to his room. He doesn't come in mine.
That's a pretty good relationship.
That's bad.
I think we should keep it that way.
The only dude that I can think of from the SHR days. Remember Big Country?
Oh my God.
Bro, Big Country was the gas man on Tony's car, and this dude was like 6'5".
Yeah,
he was like
big
a tight
boy,
end,
huh?
big boy, and a country boy.
Yeah,
and he was so good he could plug in the gas can while Tony was still coming into the pit stop. So like it made everything so much faster. But he's the only guy that I think is about Matt's size.
You remember when Ricky Stenhouse got into it with Kyle Busch?
Yeah.
Big Country was the one that come in there.
Oh, that's on the. Yeah, he was like,
that was him.
Yeah, that's him. Okay, we actually were laying in bed googling who's this dude? He's a big boy. You know what I mean? I was like, he had to have a scholarship somewhere to go play ball or something.
Did.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he almost went to the league.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You could see it, man. He's definitely
he's man
large.
size.
Yeah,
he's
large and in charge.
Yo,
Yeah.
So what I didn't know is that Matt had done some like stock car stuff at Motor Mile and stuff, and we were talking about telling stories about it and about flipping over. And obviously you flipped over plenty of times. He said one time he did it 9 times.
Yeah, in a pro mod.
Pro mod, which is wild. How many flips do you think you've gotten in one?
Man, no clue. I wouldn't even know where it was at and what car it was. It probably was a sprint car.
Yeah, it had to have been.
Probably a non-wing sprint car at Terre Haute, I think, is the one that I can think of that might have been the worst. But I mean, we've been upside down. If you're going to drive open wheel cars, you're going to get upside down. So it's just going to happen. But I remember being at Talladega and I got upside down. I was leading the race on the last lap and trying to block 3 lanes and cleared myself, I guess, too quick and and wasn't clear and spun in front of the whole field. I mean, wrecked 3/4 of the cars on the last lap of the race. But I remember flipping over, and I was on top of Paul Menard's car, windshield to windshield. I'm looking down at his lap, he's looking up at my lap, and I don't know how far he carried me, but it felt like he carried me probably 200-300 yards before I fell off the top of his car, and I'm like, just come off really nice. Because I'm upside down. I'm like, and then I got to fall off this thing at some point.
Man.
So getting upside down is not a fun deal by any means.
So how many? Because you've also driven. You did some monster truck stuff.
Yeah,
we were off camera talking all types of shit.
Yeah, we did some monster trucks, some drag boats, some little bit of late model stuff. All those I found out I wasn't great at. You know what I mean? But I'm that dude that's like, hey, you want to try? I'm like, yeah. The only thing I've turned down is the bondable the flats out there, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like this dude he was like, we're gonna put you in this pencil, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna fit in the pencil anyway. You know what I mean? But he's like, you're gonna go 500 miles an hour. I'm like, I don't want to go that fast in that thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's about the only thing that I've had the opportunity to drive that I probably was like, nah, I'm good. You know what I mean? But most of the stuff, it's, unfortunately, though, the problem with it is you get in these things at a high rate of speed, and you're not really sure when it's not good, right? That's the problem. Like in a funny car, I know when I'm good and I know when I'm not good. You know, it's like, hey, you should be lifting here, you should be doing this. These are the things that's happening. You put yourself in a boat, man, and it's like they're like, oh, it's going to get up on the sponsons and it's going to, move around and hop. And it's like if it takes too big of a hop, you're supposed to lift. I'm like, this damn thing's hopping a lot. You know what I mean? And you're running 180 miles an hour on the water, and it's just kind of like, you're like, should I lift? Should I not? Like you got to shift in there and pull parachutes and pull the capsule down. You're holding on to a rope, and and then the monster truck thing was fun. I was really kind of shocked how smooth they are as far as like when you're crushing cars and stuff, and you're just driving out of the bottom with the plexiglass and stuff, and it's just got an old Linko in there. You're shifting gears and stuff, and they turned the rear steer off for me, so they're like, you're probably not quick enough to handle the rear steer right now, so they wanted me to, like kind of wreck it, I guess, but cool experience, got to crush some stuff and do some stuff like that, and it was actually in the Virginia Giant. And it just, something different, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I was like, heck yeah, we're going to do that, you know what I mean? So, but Don kind of put an end to all that after a little while. He was like, you're doing what? And you got to think, like, Dodge, I've been with Dodge for 18, they've invested millions and millions of dollars into me, you know what I mean? And they're like, you break your leg or you do something stupid, and there's no excuse for that. Like, it's just like, I was having fun. Like, you're not getting paid no more. You know what I mean?
Like, is that fun?
Yeah. So when Don back then, he was kind of like, and same with Caps. Caps was running all these like dirt track cars and circle track stuff. And Caps loves to drive those things. And he was my teammate. And I think he wrecked one. And Don started kind of like taking a look into it and was like, nah, boys, we ain't doing this. He's like, we're drag racing. You know what I mean? So it slowed all that down for my career after a little while. And I know Caps was kind of disappointed, but I don't know. I mean, maybe the new boss, new deal. You know what I mean? But
he's been known to drive a couple different things here and there.
Man.
I drove a monster truck at Talladega.
Yeah, did you really?
That's one of the 4 times I broke my back.
Oh. Man.
And didn't even realize it. That was the same night that Kevin Hamlin, who was Earnhardt's crew chief, in 2000.
Yeah.
That's when he broke his back the night before the race, and I had missed a shift in my run against him, and he won, but broke his back. So, because he couldn't run, that put me in the finals, and then I broke my back in the finals. But it was a blast.
How many rods and screws and sticks and everything else you got in you?
Wait, pause. What? So how many sticks you got?
Well, I mean, he's just like, he's a halfway bionic man over here. You know what I mean? Just been pieced back together so much,
I just have one rod.
One rod? Yeah.
4
You got your leg cut up pretty bad. Yeah. And then we went like on vacation, and he takes his shirt off, and he's got like, it looks like scars everywhere down his back and stuff, man, where he's had his back repaired.
Bro, I stopped by his house after you lawn darted out of the sandrail.
Yep.
This is my brother. This is like also like my big like Tony's like was always my favorite driver. Like and now I always told people I was gonna work for him. Well, now we're friends.
Right.
And now I gotta see my guy is laid up, and he just could barely look at me, and I'm like, I don't know if I can go back over. I don't know if I can see him like this. Like, bro, it was crazy.
Put you in a bad spot, man.
Yeah, but between that and then the leg deal, right?
Yeah,
we had to bedazzle. We bedazzled his little rascal for him.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. That thing was pimped out. I had the fast key, and I wasn't even comfortable running it with the fast key. I'm like, how do these old people ride these things with the fast key on? I'm like, my legs already. I mean, my legs in bad shape here, and I just need to get from point A to point B. And I ran that fast key. I thought I was gonna flip the thing over. I'm like, I'm gonna end up with a broke back again. My leg that's already broke is gonna be re-broke and break something else. But
What happened? I heard Leah got you on a one wheel there for a little while too. When you started coming around.
one wheel?
yeah, I got a couple spots on my forehead here that are like a chameleon. They change colors occasionally, but
Oh yeah, I
she
kinda
was
see that up in there.
she was running her factory stock car and it was testing, and she was like, "Hey, I want you to watch me run this car." I'm like, "Okay." So I set my alarm. She's already inside, and I set my alarm in the motorhome and get up. Well, I get a call from the shop, so I'm on that call for 10 minutes and get off of that, and I'm taking her dog Fendi outside to go to the bathroom, which I didn't know that Leah had done that before she left. So the dog's out there just messing around, not doing anything, and I'm like, "You're going to get me killed if I don't get there to watch your mom run." And then I get another phone call from the shop that I have to take. So trying to get on this one wheel, and I'm hauling butt up to the staging lanes, and I am literally 200 feet from her car. And it's at a 45-degree angle, so she can't even look through the mirror and see that I'm back there. And the battery went dead. And I mean, I went,
hard
pow, pow. And I mean, it looks like I went in the ring with Mike Tyson for about 45 seconds with my arms taped behind my back. I mean, it clubbed me down like a baby seal.
like a baby.
So, it was bad.
I didn't know that I've never even been on one. You know what I mean? But it's kind of one of those things. They look a little challenging to maneuver.
They're fun. I mean, we had just got these things, and we had been riding them a little bit, but like when I took off, it's got a gyro in it, and so the direction you want to go, that's the way you lean. Well, it's trying to physically push back, which I'm like, it's telling me something that's not right, but I got to get up there for this run, and I'll get a golf cart to bring me back, and then I'll get the directions out and find out what it is.
Right.
Well, that was it telling me that the battery was about dead.
Wow.
Oh.
And I'm trucking wide open. I mean, yeah, conk. So.
Yeah, he's been beat up, man, like nonstop. I was just like, man, but I guess concrete doesn't give very well. You know what I mean?
No.
That's what they
It
say,
wins most of the time.
I don't think it's lost.
The only thing that they didn't have, because this happened in staging lanes, they had to have the safety safari come clean it up. The blood. All the blood.
Really?
Oh, bro.
The only thing they didn't do was a white chalk line around my body when they got done. That was the only thing missing.
I had a crew guy. He wrecked a scooter, and we went up there and drew the chalk line.
Dude, the scooters are dangerous. You gotta be careful, cause like I won't ride with people, like, cause I'll do dumb stuff that I'm not supposed to do. I don't want anyone to follow me, cause if you wreck, then I feel bad, but that you follow me doing something dumb anyway. You know what I mean?
I want to follow you because I'm going to video the whole thing because I know it's going to be good.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you this son of a gun. One time he brings it. So the sprint car guys, they come over to the shop because they're getting ready for World Finals or whatever, and they always pulled up to the shop and unloaded, and everyone's like looking at the sprint cars because we don't see them that often. He just got this German Shepherd, and there was he brought a side by side. There was a side by side there too, and we're looking at the side by side. This German Shepherd, Matt, only spoke. It had two languages, right?
It had a bunch of. Each command was a different language.
Oh wow!
There was a command that just made it like bark, like aggressively at you. He looks at this dog, looks at me, says something in whatever language, and all of a sudden the dog is attacking me. Like, I jump into the side by side. It's up, bro. He's just laughing. He's 20 people dying laughing. I'm like, I don't know what.
He's ready to eat your lunch. Huh?
So yeah. So what I want to know is who plays better pranks.
Oh man, I don't know. Tony's pretty good at them too.
Pretty good.
But it's just that kind of stuff. Like crew guys, man. They took one time and they took zip ties and put on my drive shaft, dude, and like wheel weights.
That's my favorite
gosh,
one.
Wheel weights. I was going down the interstate one time and this thing, I was like, what is going on? You get up to 65 and it's jerking the wheel out of your hand. You know what I mean? And then you're just like, God, I gotta crawl in there and pull all these wheel weights off now. And you're trying to catch a flight. And you're late. You ain't even got time to put gas in the car. And you're over there pulling wheel weights off and stuff. So it's just good old fun, man. You know what I mean? Like
that's what it's
fun,
all about. That's what it's all about. Let me ask you guys this: what's one thing about each other that you were surprised when you got to know them? You know what I mean? Like, what was one thing that, like, man, I really never thought that Matt would be into that type of thing?
I think for me it was, you see him and you're like, man, I'm not messing with that guy.
Right.
But I think the thing that I learned really quick that was surprising is just how big his heart is. You know, he's always looking out for everybody else. You know, he's not thinking about himself. He's always thinking about others. And it's been that way since I came on board driving, you know, with the alcohol car even. I mean, Matt spent U.S. Nationals the first time I went there with the alcohol car. I was a train wreck because we weren't even in the show, and we had one more round of qualifying, and he's the only one that could calm me down. Leah tried and couldn't get me calm. And finally talked to Matt, and he got me calmed down. But he's just one of those guys that, you know, even when we're at the track on a weekend, I mean, he needs to be worried about his car. Well, he's worried about mine too. And that's just kind of the personality and the way he is, not only with racing, but just in general with life. I mean, he just treats everybody good. He's give you the shirt off his back, which won't fit anybody but him. But he's just that kind of guy that just has a huge heart and is always looking out for others.
Yeah, I think for me with Tony is like just how much he cares about his people, right? Like, so the only time I've ever seen Tony sideways, you know, and because you watch these YouTube videos and he's chucking helmets and he's, you know, in everybody's face and he's got attitude, and I was like, ooh, it's gonna be tough working for him. But it worked for Don Schumacher, so I was like, it can't be that bad. You know what I mean? Like, it can't be that bad, you know. So the biggest thing I think with Tony is that how much he cares for his people, right? Like, so the time I saw him kind of like get sideways is we had a crew guy that his grandfather got murdered actually, and in Mexico, and our crew chief actually was kind of like, hey, we're just going to take care of this, you know, we'll get the kid back with his family and all that stuff, and you know, and just kind of take care of it without Tony knowing, you know what I mean? Don't want to bother him, you know, and we're all learning each other, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to bother Tony or this or that, you know, he's got a lot going on, SHR racing, all the, you know, in circle tracks, you know, dude's phone blows up all the time, right? Like, he showed me one time a text message, there's like 170 of something on there, you know, I was like, dude, you know, so I'm like, try not to text you too much, you know, but it's, but, you know, a lot going on, right? Like, super high, you know, sought after individual to put fires out, do this, that. So the crew chief's trying to handle this, you know, and Tony comes in and he's like, hey, man, he's like, anything that happens in here with our family and our people, I want to know. He said, if I can put that kid on a plane and send him, you know, over there to his family and get him back there sooner, quicker, whatever we could do to take care of that. And I've seen him do it. Like, we had a guy that, Alex, his kid was in ICU, man, like, you know, had some pneumonia and stuff like going on. Could have gone real bad real quick. And Tony throws him on a jet, man, like, you know, get back home to your family. So that was, you know, you see a lot of high profile individuals with a lot of money. Tony's a really good rich dude, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's one of those guys where he's just like, man, he wants to take care of people. You know what I mean? And it's, you see a lot of rich dudes that are not like that, man.
He's
You know
a
what I mean?
really good rich dude.
I feel like Willy Wonka or something all of a sudden.
It's like the best compliment you can get.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, there's a lot of people that don't do that, man, that have the means that really won't go out of their way to take care of people and just really kind of in it for them. And knew right off the rip, man, like, this guy, he cares about his people. He wants everyone to do well. Super successful, highly driven individual. So I feed off of that, man. Like, so it was just like, for me, it was a good fit because I love the competitive side of him, but also like that same big heart side of him. You know what I mean? Like, it goes a long ways, and you get to really see who people are in their worst moments, you know. And I've seen Tony in some low lows out here with, you know, getting beat first round and different things, and even not even racing, just some things that in his life, you know, trying to have a baby and different things like that, where you could be really down, and you get to really know somebody, and he's just a good dude, man. And like, that's what I was surprised about, because you see all the YouTube stuff and this and that and read all the comments, and you're like, man, who am I coming to work for? But if people really took the time and really got to know Tony, there would not be any negative comments out there ever, you know what I mean? Because there's just, I've been able to know him now for 4 or 5 years now, 3 or 4 years, and it's just it's been nothing but a blessing to have him in my life.
Appreciate that.
I was gonna let that moment kind of set for.
You're waiting on me to cry.
Yeah, well, you had that look in your eyes. Like, let me just. I will say, I think to what both of you guys just said. Like, when I met Matt, I was like managing or a part of the display, the Dodge display, and like they would come through and do the autographs right there. So like I met him, but like it was in like passing, and I'm just like, this guy is huge, like. And like and usually it's in the morning, he's kind of like locked in, and then they sit down and they're doing autograph smiles and all this stuff. And then like with you, it's hard when to your point, when you see people trashing people that you know, and that you care about, you know who they are as people. And I think you had an interview with like Kenny Wallace recently, talking about some of that stuff, and like, I got our podcast with Kevin, and so I see the comments when certain people, and I'm like, you don't know this person at all.
Right.
Like I know you think you know, or like, oh yeah, some rich guy just got off on this thing, but like you don't understand what the situation was, and you don't care. And I think once you realize that people don't care and they just want to kind of dig, I think it's easy to handle. But having good people around you is important.
I think you see two types of people. You see the people that their opinion is valid but they've made it off of 100% of the information they have. Well, that 100% of information that they have is 10% of the big picture of it. So they don't see the whole picture, like you're saying. If you had time to spend with us, you get to know who we really are. But you get those people, and then the other people, they just like somebody else.
Yeah.
You're the enemy because you're racing against their favorite guy, and they don't care.
They're going to find something.
Yeah, it don't matter.
You could build a hospital from scratch for children, and they would still think you're the Antichrist. That's just the way people are. And now with social media, they can sit behind their computer, they can sit behind their phone, and say anything they want.
No name to it, no face.
Yeah, but we're at the track every weekend. I've never had anybody come up to the track and say any of that stuff. So it's like, all right, well, if they're not man enough to say it at the track, then it's not even, in my eyes, it's not even valid.
Puts it in perspective, right? Like when you look at the socials and all that stuff, and maybe you do a tweet or whatever, it gets like 500 likes, and then you have 5 people that are just talking shit, and like you get wrapped up in that 5 people, but like, brother, there's 500 people that love whatever you just are about, and when you get that
can't
perspective,
even get wound up about the 5 people.
I hit block, man. Like if you have the time to say something negative, you don't need to be. It's like being a bouncer at a bar, right? Like you want to cause trouble at the bar, we'll kick you out. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way I look at it all the time. I don't care if it's just even a little bit negative. It's like, nope, see you. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't really have time to go through all that.
Right? No, of course.
But the ones that I do and I see, it's blocked. And like, don't come here comment no more. You know what I mean? If you ain't got something good to say, don't say it. You know what I mean? So
my favorite one is when you'll see a post, somebody, and these fake sites that do their posts now, and they basically
the AI sites are crazy now.
They take somebody else's deal and change a couple words and blah blah blah, and have the wrong picture for it. But anyway, and somebody will put, "Who cares?" And it's like, well, obviously you do. You took the time to type in "Who cares?" dumbass.
Yeah.
It's like, so when you look at those 5, it's almost entertaining because you realize those 5 people are idiots.
Yeah.
So it's somewhat entertaining at some point
there
when
was
you
one
realize
site-
to not take it personal, and they want you to take it personal, but it's hard to when you go, this guy probably can't even tie his own shoes.
There was one site that like basically it said, Tony shaved his head and Leah had breast cancer and all this other stuff.
yeah.
And I texted him. I was like, "Hey, brother, I support you. I'm gonna shave my head too." And he's like, we were joking.
Yeah.
But like stuff like that, and you're going like, "What in the world?"
A month ago, I died.
Yeah, really.
There was a post that I died,
Really?
and I didn't even read the whole thing because I'm like,
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna let him get whatever it is for my click. But yeah, I used to die about 3 times a year when I was in NASCAR full time. It was always a plane crash.
That's insane.
Coming home from a race, I
clickbait.
died in a plane crash.
Clickbait.
So
What is because this has got me thinking about this. Like, what is one thing or a couple things maybe that you guys have each learned from each other? Because it feels like there's a real brotherhood that happens here, which is interesting. Because you look at him, Tony Stewart, like on the Mount Rushmore of Motorsports, and you look at him and you're like, he knows way more about this drag stuff than I could ever think about knowing. So like, what are a couple things like that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like learning from Tony, I think it's just juggling people, man, dealing with people. My business is super small, and he's over here running business with obviously with Stewart Haas and everything else. I mean, they had hundreds of people, and just figuring out how to really delegate your time and still feel like you're giving everybody the same amount of time, right? Like, and that's hard to do. And someone told me the other day, they come to me and said, people, everybody wants the same amount of time with people, and some people, their time's more valuable than others, right? Like you get somebody, nothing wrong with it. They work a 9 to 5, and they show up, they work, and they go home, and they have the whole evening to spend with people and stuff like that. But if you're running businesses, you're doing different things, on stuff going on, you work every day until you shut your eyes.
Yeah, you don't stop.
Right. And so sometimes those moments that you get with those high individual people are are very important, right? Like, but it's one of those things where you still have to give that same amount of time and that same amount of energy to no matter who it is. And I see him doing that with so many different people, and some of them it might be super important and others not, but he still gives that same amount of time, and that person walks away from it going like, all right, man, Tony took the time to spend with me to do this, or we talked about that, or, there's been a lot of times where he's talking to somebody, I'm like, hey, this guy wants to talk to you over here, and he's like, hold on, I'm still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's him giving that time, to those people, and it's just, to me, like, I think that's an art, like that's a craft that you have to kind of come up with, because it'd be easy for him to be like, I'm gonna stay in my motorhome. I'm gonna jump in the race car.
Yeah, motorhome.
And that kind of stuff. And maybe that happens a lot in the NASCAR side of things. But in NHRA, you have to be out there. You have to be signing. And he signs a lot and does stuff. And it's just so I think the time management and watching him do some of that and being able, because he's, like I said, I don't want to be as famous as Tony Stewart because it never ends, right? But watching him juggle that is been something that I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I think for me on his side, I mean, it's like we talked about. I mean, last year was a frustrating year. I had to lean on him a lot about it because the thing about him is he's always positive. He's always good at no matter how bad the day is, he finds the positive in it, and that's what he leaves with. And so I think that helped me a lot last year with surviving the season without going insane. It was just how he's just taught me to, and I've always tried to find the positive and negative, but when you're in the moment, it's really hard to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow he's got a real good talent at being able to still be present in the moment and find a way to still stay positive no matter what the situation is. I mean, there's times I've seen him mad, and it's like I don't stay anywhere near him when he's mad like that. But he's mad for 5 minutes, and he's done with it, and he's already switched gears, and he's back signing, or he's with the team and pumping those guys back up. So learned a lot about, from watching him. I'm learning how to keep my guys up when we're having a bad day. So there's just a lot of things with him. He's one of those guys that you're never going to be bored. You're always going to have fun. But when it comes time to work, I mean, he takes it serious. So it's a lot of the things that we kind of, that's, I think, the reason we mesh so well is because we both kind of have those traits.
Man, before I let you boys go, Tony, I want to ask you one more thing, which is, on Kevin's podcast, I brought up, after you won, I'm like, Kevin, is he on the Mount Rushmore of motorsports now? Because we always talk about, in other sports, we talk about Mount Rushmore and stuff. He's like, he already was there. But for you, do you look at that and have you been able to acknowledge at least, like, your position in all of motorsports? Like, is it too close still? Because we're talking like your heroes, AJ Foyt, Mario Andretti, like these guys that
he's got a pretty big list, man.
Like, your list.
I was reading through the other day. I was like, damn, I gotta do some more stuff.
Like, it makes you look at you like, I really haven't done shit.
Yeah. Hey, let's go. Like, let's go.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know. Like, we never had created a list. So I was. Unfortunately, the day after we won at Vegas, I had to go to Texas for one of our partners. His wife passed away, so I was at the funeral. But on the way home, I was scrolling through social media and was watching I was trying to watch the videos of the run from the day before because I wanted to see, like Matt said, I wanted to see the crew guys. Yeah. And so I was trying to watch videos, but I saw that somebody had created that list, and I'm like, I got reading, and I'm like, crap, that's a big list. And then I'm like, whoa, they forgot this, they forgot this, they forgot this. And then I started sitting there going, wow. And then we started adding to it and creating a formal list like that. And so, but the hard part is you don't think about it in the moment. All we think about is, and especially with what we used to do with the NASCAR side, Sunday, if you won the race, you enjoyed it that night, and you might enjoy it for half the day the next day.
Yeah, maybe.
And you're done. You're thinking about the next weekend already, and how do we do it again? So it's, I don't know. It's just kind of wild how it all happens.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Like, I think like you don't until one day you get a chance to sit back and look at that. Like, you're just in it, right? Like, you're just racking it off, like whatever it takes. Every weekend, like what we do, especially on this side of things, and I'm sure it's even more intense on the Cup side of things, but because you're just more races and stuff. But it's just, you know, you're just like, all right, man, you know, like you set, like for me, I set a goal for myself. Like I want to win 5 or 6 races every year. You know what I mean? Like that's the standard bar, you know what I mean? And then if we can win 8 or 10, that's even better. You know what I mean? But, and there'll be some years that you're humbled, right? Like you'll be lucky to win 1 or 2 or something like that. Like, you know, there's only been one season in my career that I haven't won a race, and it's just but there'll be those years that you have to have those humbling seasons to keep you driven to want, you know, to keep going, you know. So but I think that, like he was saying, you're just kind of in it, you know what I mean, and you're just knocking them off as much as you can, and you're getting through the weekends, and then you know, to look at and read that list, it's like, whoa, that's crazy, man. Like that you were involved with that much stuff, and you had your hands and that many irons in the fire, and still driving and doing and showing up, and no wonder he's got a jet, you know what I mean?
Gotta have it to get around,
Yeah,
man.
That's
Gotta
Think
have it.
about the list, though. It's the thing that people don't realize is there's somebody in every generation. There's that one guy, and right now we're living it with Kyle Larson. I mean, he's that guy in this generation. But every generation has had somebody that's been that standout person. So it's hard to compare, you know, and it's humbling to hear people talk about it and try to put me on, you know, a list like that or with a group of guys that I think the world of. But you know, you just don't think about it. But I don't even know how you would act. How do you compare everybody? Because every generation, the cars were different, the competition was different,
Business is different. How you operate
all
the whole
of it.
thing.
And,
Yeah.
you know, I think about this era. I mean, thank goodness we have the safety stuff that we have now. I mean, guys just don't get hurt like they used to. I mean, you look back in the 50s and 60s midget racing. There was somebody that died every weekend. Somebody got killed in a midget. So you don't see that now. So, you know,
that's being, you want to go racing. You
that's
know what I mean?
intense. You know, you think of those guys. That's the generation that I'm sitting there going, those guys were badasses.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's like back in Force, you know, when back in the day, you know, when funny cars and stuff, like they were on fire, like, a lot. You know, you had to want to drive one. So like, even though they weren't running over 300 miles an hour, it was like you had to be in one, kind of like what you
like
said.
grading on the curve.
Yeah,
because
right.
the element of difficulty was way higher and the consequences were way higher.
Yeah,
the further back in time.
That last part, the consequences, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, 4-time world champ, Matt Hagan, now new time.
One-time race
One-time race winner, Tony Stewart. Thank you, boys. We'll see you next time in the Dodge Garage.